These are some of my favorite photos I took while I was in Chamonix. They weren't taken with a super fancy camera, just a Samsung A04, and then run through DaVinci Resolve for a bit of color correction. These photos are what I'll be using for paint reference today, and I hope to capture the same beauty that I witnessed while I was there. So let's get right into it. When I first arrived, it was on a tourist bus from Geneva Airport on a nice, sunny day. When the bus enters La Houche, you get surrounded by these massive walls of trees and sheer rock faces, blocking in your view. And then you come around this bend in the road and the absolutely massive, breathtaking view of Mont Blanc rises in front of you. It's such an imposing but amazing experience, molded by millions of years of geological and ecological history. The week that I had in Chamonix was one of the best hiking experiences I've ever had. I pushed the limits of what I could do and connected with other hikers who had come from all over the world to do the same. While I didn't get to summit Mont Blanc, I'm not quite experienced enough for that yet, I did get to hike from my hostel all the way up to the Plan de l'Aiguille cable car station. The hike says approximately 3 hours, with a climb of over 38,000 feet and about 7 kilometers from the lodge that I stayed in. My personal record for elevation was a 2,000 foot climb in Kananaskis, Alberta, so I knew almost double that was going to be a huge challenge. I was not exactly in shape going into this hike either. After 10 months of hitting up the takeout place next to my apartment and becoming a regular at the pubs in Ireland while powering through my last year of university, I had gained about 40 pounds. I knew I wouldn't be in the same shape as I was when I climbed in Kananaskis, and the hike would probably take me closer to 5 hours rather than 3. But if there's anything hiking has taught me, it's my own need for a challenge. I love things in life that push me to my limits, that challenge me to be better than I am. When I get pushback, I have opportunities to prove myself against the force of what I'm pushing against. With hiking, that's the physical and mental exertion of the mountain. During a climb, there are moments where I ask myself, why the heck did I decide to do this to myself? It's exhausting and it's hard, and in those initial moments, it's easy to feel like giving up would be the more enjoyable choice. I can take a shorter loop and spend half the day in town eating crepes and drinking fancy French wine. And while that absolutely would be an enjoyable day, my voice just kept looping in my head, it seems impossible until you do it. You'll regret it if you go home without even trying. I had set a goal for myself and I intended to reach it. Climbing a mountain is how I visualize most goals I set for myself. You know, when those goals are not literally climbing a mountain. When I set a goal, I try to estimate how difficult it's going to be, like I would a hike. Will I need a carb load, pack a bunch of gear, how much water and food will I need? You need to think about what you'll need to achieve your goal, or else you'll burn out too early into the hike. For my YouTube goals, I want to make art and filmmaking into my full-time career, but I can't just work mindlessly towards that goal. I need to prepare and research. How much free time will I have while I help pay bills and make actual money on the side? What is a reasonable upload schedule? What niche do I want to fill in the art YouTuber market? I can diversify revenue streams, but first I need to cross the barrier of getting myself out there. I've delved into content creation in the past, whether it was my super professional iMovie filmmaker days, or my Minecraft Twitch streamer phase, but I went in aimless, with no desire for it to actually become something. This time, it's a goal. It's a mountain to be summited, and I've come as prepared as I can. So I kept walking up the mountain, one foot in front of the next, and slowly but surely I went from the sub-alpine forests that I had been walking in for the days prior to alpine meadows, snow patches, and hardier vegetation. I got to watch the sunrise from halfway up the mountain, the golden yellow light spilling over the valleys and northern peaks and onto the waking town below. It was a beautiful sight after 2 hours in the dim early morning light, but I knew that the sun would bring heat that would slow me down and take more of my water. I trudged on, higher and higher until I began seeing snow. I had expected a bit of it, hearing most of the snow wouldn't retreat until mid-June. What I wasn't expecting was, after 4 hours of hiking, coming across an ice wall, seemingly unscalable. I brought crampons for slippery, snowy terrain, but this? I tried to scramble my way up, stick my toes in, and try gain leverage with my bare fingers. But the extra weight I had gained, and the weight of all the water I had carried with me, made it so for every step up the wall, I slid back down too. With the heat only rising and the snow growing softer, I couldn't see a way forward. I could try climbing a few meters to the left where the incline wasn't as steep, but a fall could mean potentially sliding off the trail and down the mountain. I was not going to take that much of a risk. This was so close to the top of the trail. Only half an hour left in the hike, and it looked like that was it for me. Without proper gear that I didn't own, my only option was to go back down, walk to the north face of the mountain, and try again on that side. But I didn't have the time or the energy, and chances are it would have been the same on the other side. I was stuck. The pressure of deciding my next steps settled in. Do I sit and wait for colder temperatures? I would be here for 2 or 3 hours, but it would mean reaching the top. Do I just keep trying to scramble up, wasting more energy for the small chance I find some kind of leverage? Or do I call it quits, give in and say, well, I've made it as far as I can, time to pack it in and go back down. I sat on a rock at the base of the ice wall to catch my breath, and I weighed my options. I remember that feeling vividly. It's what I'm feeling now towards life. That uncertainty, the pressure of making the right decisions without knowing which ones will lead me to my goal, which will have me sliding off the side of the mountain, and when is the safest time to quit. YouTube is a risk. It's a time commitment that could be used for learning more hireable skills in my field, like graphic design or rig building. I'm still doing those things and documenting my learning process on this channel, but I'm also spending time learning about YouTube video editing techniques, SEO tactics, click-through rates, algorithms, tags, sound editing, and it's a lot. And I don't know if it's the right decision. I don't know if spending a bunch of time on my YouTube goals will actually pay off, or if it will backfire and put me leagues behind my peers. I don't know if I should take the more standard route and go for an industry position in a field that is more and more unstable because of AI and lowered funding. In the same way I fear disappointing myself by not doing all I can to reach the top of that mountain, I fear disappointing my family, who's poured so much into my career growth and into my opportunities. I find myself constantly questioning whether I'm doing the right thing, whether I should give up on YouTube and an online art business for a more standard approach. But like the me that stood at the base of that mountain and began climbing, I keep thinking to myself, it seems impossible until you do it. You'll regret going home without even trying. So I know the next few months will be a struggle. I'll wonder why I'm doing this, and I'll question every step that I make. I'll have to give myself breaks and pace myself for the long road ahead. As I sat at the base of the ice wall, I sighed. I tried a few more times to climb with little success. Exhaustion and disappointment began to creep in as I realized that this was the end of the road for me. I stood to take in one last view of the valley from my highest point, while two of these Colorado hikers came down from the wall behind me. They had ice axes, crampons, and these super lightweight hiking packs, and at that point I realized I probably had underprepared a little bit. They saw me taking in the view and asked how my hike was going. I told them I couldn't make it up the wall with how wet the snow was and how heavy I was against it. I laughed it off, even though I could feel the defeat of not reaching the goal that was so close.
Oh, come on, you're almost there, man. Let me take you up.
I was shocked into silence for a moment. His wife smiled, and in an incredible act of kindness, she gave me her ice axe. He showed me the proper way to leverage my crampons in a wall that steep, instructing me to keep 3 points of contact on the ice at all times. He showed me how to stop myself from slipping by holding the ice axe with both hands, trusting the technical rated axe design to hold me up while I found footing again. Each step was grueling, like doing Stairmaster at the gym after 2 leg days in a row. My lungs burned, my fingers burned even worse, still ungloved and reaching deep into the snow, only kept warm by the body heat I was radiating while doing the most exercise I had done in months. Even so, each step was one closer to my goal, and with a kind man from Colorado cheering me on, we made it to the top of the wall. I felt like vomiting, and I was red and sweaty all over, but I smiled and thanked the couple with a renewed spirit. They continued on their journey down the mountain, and I set off for the last stretch of my climb. Finally, after 5 hours, 4 water bottles, and a can of cold beef ravioli for breakfast, I found myself at my endpoint for the day. I stayed up there for 3 hours, got a nasty sunburn from it, but also an incredible panini, and as I looked out over Chamonix over 3,000 feet below where I stood, I remember my mix of excitement and dread from the day before. I remember what an impossible task this hike felt like at the time, but seeing the world from that far up, knowing that I put in the work to get there, and knowing I earned that panini was the most rewarding feeling I can think of. I wouldn't have been able to do it without that couple from Colorado, I wouldn't have been able to do it without my parents supporting my goals, and I wouldn't have found it nearly as fun without my incredible friends who I got to send pictures to and share the excitement with. I'm hoping that in the next couple years, as I figure out what to do with my young adult life, I'll remember to appreciate the support and continue pushing myself against what can seem like an impossible task. Navigating something as complex as what to do with your life is definitely different from planning my next trip into the woods, but at the end of the day, it's one big adventure. It's got all the classics from the inciting incident to lifelong stakes, dramatic roadblocks, and pushback. But like I said, I love a little bit of a challenge. That feeling of euphoria when I spend hours of my life working towards a goal, the end of a project, or a personal best in my hiking record. That feeling is what gets me coming back to the things that I love. And I will work as hard as I can if it means getting to share my growth as an artist with other people on this messy, intimidating, incredible platform. I hope you've enjoyed my reflections on Chamonix and the art it inspired me to make. Subscribe if you enjoy this kind of content and want to help me reach 1K by the end of summer. Leave a comment of places, people, or things that inspire you to keep pushing. And have an absolutely lovely week, folks. Cheers!